Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Stages of Love, presenting the Relationship Satisfaction Series. This is Thomas Kuster, writer, trainer, coach, and it is my honor and my privilege to present this program for you. I think if I asked any one of you, as well as anybody involved in relationship, and ask, what is fundamental to relationship satisfaction? I'm pretty confident that most all of you would say something regarding communication as your answer. Communication is a need-driven sequence of cause and effects. It's a process in which each person decodes meanings from the other's behavior and then experiences two or more needs from the meanings, and they seek to fill those needs by responding verbally and non-verbally. It could be said that communication is a dynamic series of emotional, spiritual, and physical interactions inside and between two or more humans who need something from each other. I love what Dr. Peter Gerlach says. Anything you do or don't do that causes a physical, emotional, spiritual, and or mental change in another is communication. A key implication from this premise is that people in relationships cannot not communicate. You will need a journal or a notebook for this course. It is a very important part. A notebook really is best, though you could use your recorders for on-the-spot thoughts and insights that you'll later transfer into the journal. You and other people have learned to listen, process, and talk from your families, your teachers, your heroes, your friends, and your persecutors. Few of them knew what you're about to learn here. So people like you are often unaware of their current communications process and choices. Just as our hands come to automatically tie a bow for our shoes, use a computer keyboard, play a musical instrument, you and I talk and listen from habit, even if the results don't please us. Multiplicity is normal. The natural ability of the brain is to reprogram itself and develop the mind in response to bruising of the emotional body, injury, or environmental threats. You see, we all have split personalities. During our formative years, up until our early 20s, the emotional body is easily bruised. And when there is a significant bruise, the brain creates a personality. And that personality, just like a whole person, has its own beliefs, its own goals, its own sub-personality, if you will. If there's a major injury to the body, the brain might create another personality part. And when you live inside of environmental threats, the brain will create other personality parts. The average human has 5 to 12 personality parts, and we will investigate these parts during this first workshop. You and I talk for our parts all the time, though we don't always notice it. You might say, a part of me really wants to do this course, while another part of me, I'm just not interested. Have you ever experienced yourself loving and hating at the same time? How about those times when you've said to yourself or others, I just don't know what got into me? Outbursts, spells, moods. Times when you're unusually clear but confused all at the same time. Excuse me. Your personality is the evolving mosaic of beliefs, values, talents, limitations, memories, reflexes, priorities, fears, perceptions, and habits that make you unique among the living and the dead. Clinical research suggests that your personality results from a dynamic group of personality parts, that is, sub-personalities, like the talented members of an orchestra or a sports team. Each part is semi-independent, has its own goals, gifts, limits, and experiences the world uniquely. Each part can ally with, ignore, trust, distrust, respect, scorn, or conflict with every other part. Your inner family of parts can range between purposeful and harmonious to completely chaotic and unfocused, depending on who leads the group. There are common personality parts that we all have. And I'm going to address these common personality parts to give you an access to seeing, distinguishing, getting yourself wrapped around the idea of parts where you are. You see, I think everybody on this webinar will agree that you have an inner voice, a little voice in your head. Now, those of you who don't know about the little voice in your head, it's the one who just said, what little voice in my head? But mostly we're all aware of this voice, even though it sounds like us. I'd like for you to consider that there's multiple voices in your head, and they all sound like you, and they've been around for so long, it occurs like you. This thing we call I, a structure of identity that you recognize moment by moment by moment by moment. Try on this image, if you will, of a bus full of people. And one or more on the bus is saying, let's go to San Francisco. A few others are like, no, we're going to Sacramento. And still others are going to Miami, Florida. The bus driver can listen, but makes decisions to try and take care of everybody, and therefore becomes fragmented. You know, having multiple goals in the air at one time. The goal of our program and the intention as you distinguish your personality parts is to bring harmony to the bus. so that you, the bus driver, has one destination and everybody on board is aligned with your destination. The first common personality part that I'd like to address is the critic. Consider this the inner critic. The inner critic is extraordinarily smart. It has a wonderful memory. It remembers all your failures, all your mishaps, everything that you've done that doesn't work, hasn't worked, anything it can remind you of to keep you in your place. Now, every part has two sides. Just like your hand has the palm and has the back. No matter how many times you slice your hand, it still has two sides. The other side of the critic is the judgmental part. The judgmental part is the one who judges others in order to compensate or balance out its own self-worth. What does your inner critic say to you? What are the thoughts that come up about your abilities or inabilities? Then there's the procrastinator. Everybody procrastinates a bit, I would imagine. But there is a personality part called the procrastinator part. And when it takes over, you can't get anything done. You'll try. You'll do futile exercises and practices that never work, and you'll do them again, though they've never worked before, as though they might work now. It's a wonder when the procrastinator has taken over that you can get anything done. But there is one part that will scare the devil out of the procrastinator part, and that is the panic monster. When the panic monster part shows up, it scares the procrastinator into action because it gives it thought of humiliation, public embarrassment, loss of employment, loss of family. And many times this is the only way the procrastinator can get anything done. Certainly you'll agree, this isn't the way to live life if there's other options. Then there's the illusionist. The illusionist is a very interesting part. It's the one that paints pretty pictures and has you avoid or not do things, keep promises, manage your life in the way that you normally would. Let's say you want to be on a healthy diet and you see chocolate cake. The illusionist will make you believe that having that one piece of chocolate cake isn't going to hurt anything. So you'll pick this healthy diet back up tomorrow. Now, how you know the illusionist is at work is it never considers the consequences. See, having the cake today, there is the consequence of breaking the diet that I say I'm on. There's also the consequence of the additional sugar, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But one hidden consequence is tomorrow will offer new opportunities to break the diet again. And once I've done it, it's easier to do it the next time. And then finally, a way of life is no longer the healthy diet. And then there's the inner child, and the inner child is where a lot of emotions get expressed. Shame, guilt, upset, sadness, just to name a few. When these parts and other parts get activated, they flood your system. They might blend together or stand alone, but they blend with your true self and disable it, leaving you false self-directed. Now, what does that look like? Well, some of the false self characteristics look like being fuzzy, when you're just not thinking straight, distracted, not present, heavy, worried, upset, frustrated, impatient, unclear, and sending double messages. The false self is based in fear. It comes from an illusion that we're all separate from all living things and therefore struggling for survival on a daily basis. Now, when I talk about struggling for survival, it doesn't necessarily mean trying to pay your bills and trying to eat. Some of these individual parts fear being killed off, and therefore they get louder, take more. The voice of your inner parts, the wounded aspects of your personality, are fearful. And sometimes they'll stay in your mind, cycling thoughts over and over. Could be a frantic feeling of searching, looking for rest or understanding. And then there is what I call the manager part. This one's a coach, mentor, director, just to name a few ways you could relate to it, teacher. This one is connected to your true capital S self. It's the one, generally, the quiet voice that we all talk about. It's a nurturer. Sometimes we'll say, if I had just listened to myself, I'd not be in this mess. That's that part. This part, though more passive, is the wisest and the strongest. Bringing energy to this part is what we're after in this workshop series. Now, how you know this one is in charge is by true capital S self characteristics. True self has the qualities of calmness, curiosity, connectedness, confidence, creativity, courage, and clarity. I call these the 7 C's. When you consider people you admire and feel supported by, they probably show a lot of capital S self energy in their relationship with you. The authentic self is the part of us that is our true essence. Connection to ourselves on a soul level. It's our divine birthright and natural state to listen to this part of ourself, which is based in pure love and life energy, of which we're all a part. You see, this self is more passive because it has no reason to be aggressive, no reason to be assertive, no reason to be upset, angry, etc. It simply is. And when the parts outside of that one simply are, then true capital S self is heard loud and clear and brings leadership to the whole. When we consider your personality or my personality, we refer to a something over here. A blended group of parts that are mostly not distinguished for you. In this workshop, in this webinar, I'm inviting you to take that personality apart. Consider it a nanoscience of the brain and mind. Instead of the ancient one brain, one personality, which, by the way, is as misguided as the sun going around the earth or the earth being flat. I want you to start considering some of your personality parts outside of the common ones. And to help you do that, I'm going to share a few of my own. I have the fast and furious part. Now, the fast and furious part is obvious. It's motivational, it's inspirational, but it drowns out a lot of true self over here where I am, so as to be very out there, very effective and efficient. No parts are bad, you see. From their own perspective, they're awesome. Then there's the angry and impatient part. When the angry and impatient part is leading the pack for me, everything else is numb. And the only thing I can see is being right and needing those around me to acknowledge my rightness. Do you have a part like that? Then I have the childish part. For some people, this might be the victim part or the victimized part. Then there's the misunderstood part and the defensive part. Those two, for me, kind of show up together. A big part of my life was spent being defensive and the experience of being misunderstood. Having those parts in harmony with true self has given me a lot of peace, has given me a lot of power and clarity. Then there's the controlling part. Sometimes that part takes over because it thinks if I'm in control, life will work better. Then there's the quirky part. That's kind of new for me. I distinguish that part. It's a resisted part. We'll talk about that later. A disowned part, a part I didn't like about myself. I don't like the idea that I'm quirky. But through this work, I acknowledge the quirky part as a part of the whole, and it has something to offer. And I allow those gifts to come up and get used. And then for me, there is the restless part. I used to refer to it as the bored part because I would say to people, I get bored easy. And when I get bored easy,